Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege as Commander of Squadron 294 of the Sons of the American Legion, Cyril P. Morissette Post, to welcome you to this Veterans Day commemoration at the Squadron's Flags for Veterans Island here in Fort Square. Well, I'd like to take this time at the start of this to thank all my officers, but first my wife for all that she does, and we know it's a lot. But my Senior Vice, Chris Standring, my Finance Officer, Bruce Sheehan, and my Adjutant, Steve Dumas. And special thanks to Chaplain Pete Smilek for stepping up at short notice. Now I'd also like to thank the outgoing Ladies Auxiliary President and past Post Commander, Kathy Lewis, for everything she has done for the Morissette Post family. And I'd like to also welcome in the current Ladies Auxiliary President, Ellen Quinn. I look forward to working with you. On this Veterans Day, we pause to honor and express our deepest gratitude for the brave men and women who have worn the uniform of the United States Armed Forces. Veterans Day was first known as Armistice Day, marking the end of World War I, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Today, it is a day to honor all American veterans who have served in times of war and peace. The word veteran carries with a deep sense of courage, sacrifice, and commitment. It reminds us of those who answered the call of duty, putting the needs of our nation before their own. It is our veterans who have protected the values and way of life we hold dear. We live in the land of the free because it is the home of the brave. Our appreciation is not just for their sacrifice in their past, but also their continued contributions to our communities today. Today, as we say thank you, and let us also remember our ongoing responsibility. We can honor veterans not just with words, but with actions, by volunteering our time supporting veterans organizations such as our own, and simply listening to their stories. The best way to honor our veterans is to make our nation worthy of their sacrifice. To all of our veterans, past and present, thank you for your service, your sacrifice, and your unwavering commitment to our country. We are forever in your debt. God bless veterans, and God bless the United States of America. I am now pleased and thankful to turn this over to Master of Ceremonies and past Post Commander Heikki Pakala. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commander. I also want to thank the Officer Day Mark Conley, and thanks to all for joining us on this Veterans Day ceremony. In honor of our nation's heroes who have sacrificed it all to safeguard our liberties. And as a dual member of both the Sons of the American Legion and the Morissette Post, as well as past commander, I am honored to help bring this ceremony to you. I'd like to now introduce our chaplain, Pete Smilek. On cover.
I'd like to read a prayer for all veterans. O God, great and almighty Creator, we thank and praise you for the freedom we enjoy in our country and pray that our liberties will continue to be protected. Thank you for America's heroes that have fought for our freedoms and who have faithfully served our country. We honor all our veterans for their sacrifices, for their courage and integrity. As we celebrate these freedoms, we ask your blessings on those veterans who made the ultimate sacrifice while defending our country. Bless their families and comfort them with thankful prayers of a grateful nation. We thank you for our veterans, past and present. Through the efforts of these individuals, help us to continue to promote justice in all nations. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. There's an old adage among veterans that goes something like this. Memorial Day is for heroes that sacrifice their lives in defense of liberty. Veterans Day is for those who have answered our nation's call to defend liberty and our way of life in far-off lands. Another which I like to often find on bulletin boards, and it states, "If you can read this notice, thank a teacher. If you're reading it in English, thank a veteran." To lead us in our national anthem is the ROTC cadet Celine Jewel Esep. Sergeant of Arms,
Yes, sir.
please bring the troops to attention and present arms.
Attention. Set arms. On a guard. Guard and look. Colors. Present colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order. Woo! Thank you. Thank you very much. That was great. Officer of the Day,
Yes,
Mark
sir.
Conley.
Unit commanders, bring your units to parade rest. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. We are always honored on these occasions to be joined by our elected officials. Representing Quincy, Massachusetts, I'd like to bring up Mayor Tom Cope.
Thank you, Heike. I'm joined today by City Councilor Noel DeBona, State Senator John Keenan, and State Representative Taki Chan. It's a great honor to be here as we come each year together here at the Island of Flags, and can't help but think of Paul Moody and Joe Brill and so many others who put this together, and the tradition continues with David and the whole crew. I know it's a team effort, and we're grateful for everybody, because when you drive by this site, it certainly is a special site. A couple weeks ago, we celebrated the birthday of the Navy out at Marina Bay. Next week, I know a number of people will be in town for the big luncheon celebrating the birthday of the Marine Corps. I think we need to wish Mark Conley happy birthday, Officer of the Day. His birthday today. Happy birthday, Mark. Great Marine. We're finishing up this year as the Quincy 400 celebration as a settlement going back 400 years, with a number of terrific parties and celebrations all year long. And we're going into the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the birth of our nation. And it's well known that Jefferson was the pen of the Declaration, although he had some help from John Adams and Ben Franklin. And many believe John Adams was the voice of the Declaration, the voice of the Revolution. And that voice was all about an idea of what we enjoy today. but that idea could not come to be without the veterans. You go to Hancock Cemetery, you'll see in the bronze plaque, number of men from this area who went off to serve in the Revolutionary War. You go to a number of places around the city, there are monuments to every conflict, every war, honoring kids from Montclair or Quincy Point, whatever the neighborhood may be. The city continues to honor and pay great homage and tribute to our veteran. Because as we know from history, and John Adams once said, democracies tend to commit suicide at some point. But we know from history the tyrants in the world, and we can talk about Adolf Hitler and Stalin and so many others. We have them today. It doesn't end. So we got to continue to be vigilant, and I know that each of you join us in our pride with all those who are serving from Quincy today all across the globe, keeping the peace, standing the watch, doing their due diligence, doing their service really in a great way, and that tradition continues in our city. So I'm proud to be the mayor of the city. My dad was a World War II vet. My brother was a Vietnam era vet. My son was a Marine. And that is the general story of most families in the city. May it continue. May God continue to bless these United States of America, and God bless our veterans on watch. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Squadron 294 is very proud to be a part of the Cyril P. Morissette Post 294 of the American Legion. The special guests today are the commander of the Morissette Post, George Bouchard, past commander of the Morissette Post and dual member of the Sons of the Legion, Fred White, past commander of the Morissette Post and dual member of the Sons of the Legion, Stephen Dunley. I don't know if Stephen made it today. He's here? Hey, thank you for coming out, Stephen. Good to see you again. I don't know if Stephen has been sick for a couple months now, and good to see him out. We got to take care of our veterans. Past president of the Morissette Post, Ladies Auxiliary, and past commander of Morissette Post, Kathy Lewis, and newly appointed president of Morissette Post, Ladies Auxiliary, Ellen Quinn. Our guest speaker today is Captain John Noble. I am honored to introduce him to you because I served with this man. I served him with it in Iraq and then in the National Guard here in Quincy, Massachusetts. And the camaraderie, we haven't seen each other, I think it's almost 20 years now, like maybe 18 years. It's just nice catching up to your buddies who you hang out with for many years. Captain John Noble, retired, served over 26 years in the United States Army National Guard and Reserve, a native of Boston, Mass area. He's a graduate of Northeastern University. He enlisted in the infantry and attended the Enlisted Infantry School at Fort Benning, Georgia in the early 1980s. Serving with the 181st Infantry Regiment and the 3rd of the 18th Infantry, Captain Noble received his commission as an infantry officer in 1999. He attended the Officers Field Artillery School at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, followed by his assignment with the 102nd Field Artillery Battalion, the 793rd Military Police Battalion, and 182nd Cavalry. He has led at the infantry team squad and platoon level and served in a variety of assignments that include Battery Fire Direction Control Officer, Battery Executive Officer, Battalion Logistics Officer, and Headquarters Company Commander. After completing the officer training, he was assigned to the 102nd Field Artillery, where he served as a Fire Direction Officer, and then Battery Executive Officer. In the summer of 2004, he was assigned to the 793rd Military Police Battalion out of Bamberg, Germany, where he served as company executive officer of one of the Battalion 4 companies, as well as an additional duty position as Battalion Assistant Logistic. Upon returning from Iraq in 2006, Captain Noble had various staff assignments at major headquarters and then joined the 182nd Cavalry and now with the 182nd Infantry, where he's a senior field artillery officer assigned to the battalion staff. And as well as acting headquarters company commander, his military education includes enlisted infantry school, Fort Benning, Georgia, primary leadership development course for NCOs, field artillery officer basic course, pre-command course. His awards and decorations include a Bronze Star and Meritorious Service Ribbon. May I introduce you to Captain John Noble.
I can't tell you how much of an honor it is today to be among the people of Quincy, where I served and half my family's from. As you know, my name is Captain John Noble, and I'm here to talk to you about the meaning of Veterans Day, particularly what it means to be veterans themselves and the families of Quincy in particular. Honored guests, Mr. Mayor, Quincy City Councilmen, state reps, state senators, people from the Morissette Post, thank you very much. A veteran of the United States is someone who on active duty served in the armed forces, public health services, National Oceanographic Administration, or the environmental sciences. The veteran must have earned an honorable discharge. On Veterans Day, we honor all the sacrifices of all the veterans living and deceased. We acknowledge their courage, dedication to country, and I might add the courage of the families who separated from loved ones who are serving sometimes at the far ends of the globe. In 1792, the northern part of Braintree split off and became the town of Quincy. It was named after Colonel John Quincy, grandfather of Abigail Adams. Today, I want to bring you your attention because so many veterans are memorialized here at the Mount Wellington Cemetery in different parts of the town. Again, my battalion deployed from the Army right down the street from here. The Veterans Holiday has origin on Armistice Day in 1919, which is the date and time of the cessation of hostilities at the 11th hour, the 11th month, and the 11th day. Honoring all veterans who wore the military uniform, whether they served in wartime or peacetime. Unlike Memorial Day, which is for those who died in service, Veterans Day recognizes living veterans. Could all veterans please stand that are in the audience to be recognized? This day is a solemn reminder of the sacrifices by veterans and their families and a deep commitment for the protecting the nation and the city of Quincy. Unlike other jobs, members of the military, you can be put in very difficult circumstances in peacetime and war in any place in the world. Long hours standing a post, walking a patrol, either with Quincy at the siege of Boston in the Revolution or the jungles of Vietnam and Korea, or a Humvee in Iraq or Afghanistan, or a plane captain on one of the 5 carriers launched from Quincy, or learning how to fly a plane at Squantum Naval Air Station. We ask our young men and women to do difficult things at an age when others might be going to college. Who are some of these extraordinary veterans of Quincy, and what deeds have they done in past wars? We honor their sacrifice by remembering today. 650 sons of Quincy served in the Army and Navy in the Civil War. 105 died serving in their country. Out of a total population of Quincy at 7,000 at the time, almost 10% served as veterans. Francis Lincoln Soda was born in 1863 in April, the son of Lincoln and Marcella Soda. Soda was 25-year-old when he enlisted the Hancock Lifeguards in Quincy, and he was killed June 10th at the Battle of Big Bethel, Virginia. Soda has the dubious honor of being one of the first soldiers in Quincy in the war, and arguably the first in the Civil War to die in combat. At the request of his wife, his body was interred in Quincy and is now buried at Mount Wollaston Cemetery, not far from the Civil War Memorial. Another Quincy notable veteran was Joseph Paul Revere of the 20th Massachusetts. Grandson of Paul Revere and a Quincy native, Lucretia, his wife was a Quincy native, Lucretia. Then Colonel Revere died of his wounds suffered at Gettysburg with the 20th Massachusetts holding off Pickett's charge. These are just a few examples of the men of Quincy who fought and died as veterans to end slavery upon a nation. In World War I, Quincy had several hundred sons fighting the war. 2 lieutenants, Jack Melville and William Pratt, were cited for bravery in the 1st Infantry Division. Bill started out as a private and earned his battlefield commission. The two grew up on Newcomb Street and Newcomb Square, where Walmart now stands. Both survived to come back to Quincy. Another Quincy Great War veteran was Giuseppe Verdi of the immigrant community of South Walnut Street. He was from Verona, Italy. Giuseppe was mustard gas during the war. What's unique about Giuseppe was he was serving as a fireman at the Fall River Shipyard, and he could have gotten a deferment, but chose to serve in France instead. Giuseppe came back from the war, and to this day his grandson Joe Ranieri, still a Quincy resident, tends to his grave at Mount Wollaston Cemetery. You can see Private Giuseppe Sierra's grave at Sycamore Street in Mount Wollaston. A picture of him is still in his World War I uniform. In World War II, out of a population of 75,000, over 10,000 Quincy residents served in the armed forces. One was Mildred Millie Cox, who at the age of 20 in 1944 joined the Marine Corps Women's Reserve. She was 22 women out of 3,000 Marines at her basic training in South Carolina. A tough 100-year-old, she saw joining the Corps as their duty and liked the odds. That's what the people of Quincy do. They join, they sign up, no matter what the odds, and they do their job. Another Marine was Private William Caddy, Medal of Honor recipient, who served in Iwo Jima. Stout-hearted and indomitable, he unhesitatingly defied the enemy. His dauntless courage and valiant spirit of self-sacrifice in the face of certain death reflected his highest credit upon Private First Class Caddy of the United States Naval Service. He gallantly gave his life for his comrades. Such is the courage of the veterans of this town. Quincy is noted also for 2 sets of siblings from World War II. The 5 Trevino brothers, Robert, Edward, Francis, George, and Anthony, all 5 again qualified for waivers working at the Fall River Shipyard, but they went anyway. You just did it, said Lou Trevino, Francis' son. It was like going and getting a loaf of bread. Anthony and George received Purple Hearts. They all came home. Another set of Quincy family was Lucretia and Raphael Papil, who lived in Harcourt Street in Quincy, in the Point section of town. Not to be outdone, they sent 7 sons off to war. Near as I can find, Quincy is only one of 4 towns in the nation to ever send 7 sons or more to war. 2 Quincy veterans who served in World War I would like to mention. One is Cliff Rogers, who served as a medic in the 182nd Infantry on Guadalcanal. He came back from the war racked with malaria that never went away. Cliff, whose family's dates from the founding of the nation, went on to raise 2 boys and a daughter in Quincy. One of his sons, Ken, married my older sister, Kathy. Cliff was noted after the war for delivering to Japan a diary of a Japanese soldier who died on the operating table while he was working on Guadalcanal. The other is Robert G. Noble, Uncle Bob, was a private in the 1st Battalion, 347th Infantry Regiment of the 87th Infantry Division. Bob was captured in the town of Aubervilliers, France, directly on the French-German border when two infantry companies of battalion were overrun by a battalion of German armor, resulting in over 60 captured U.S. servicemen. Bob and the rest of his soldiers spent 5 months as a guest of the Germans, he called it. Bob came home from war, got married, and spent the rest of his life in Quincy, raising 3 daughters and a son. Bob Sr. spent the rest of his life giving back to Quincy veterans, past and present, and he was the New England chapter of POW Society president. Bob's dedication came to notice from Army General Major Buchanan, the military district in Washington, when in 2015 he was given the high honor of presenting a wreath for POW Day at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Recently, Bob and I had a chance to return to the French-German border and to see the hilltop in Foxholes where his dad was captured, and the Stalag where Bob Sr. was held. Bob fulfilled a lifelong journey of following his dad's footsteps in the war. In Korea, 1,300 people in Quincy served in uniform and 41 gave their lives. In Vietnam, 58,000 gave their lives, of which 2,000 men and women served in Quincy and 48 died. One who died of his services returning home was Captain Edward Brudno, a Quincy native who was a POW in Vietnam for 7.5 years. Captain Brudno, Alan he was known by friends, was routinely beaten and tortured in a windowless cell year after year. After years of struggle, Captain Brudno took his life but his family was able to finally get his name on the panel, on the Vietnam Memorial on Panel 5, Section E2. His death at his own hand helped change the way the Air Force and the entire nation sees its veterans and helped establish the PTSD services we have today. We can also not forget the missing in action veterans. 81,000 American servicemen were accounted for, 72,000 from World War II, 7,000 from Korea, 126 from the Cold War, and 1,582 from Vietnam, and 6 from Iraq and other conflicts. Again, today, it's about honoring those sailors, soldiers, and Marines like Private Caddy and John Maraglia in Vietnam, and Air Force pilots like Ed Bruno, Coast Guardsmen, Space Force, and gentlemen from the Navy who left the comforts of home to defend our way of life. Whether you served in peacetime or in war, you wore the nation's uniform honorably, and you were considered veterans by your fellow countrymen. Please remember, fellow countrymen, what's different about veterans is this is the one job in the nation where you pledge to give even your health and your life to the service of your fellow countrymen. Veterans Day is ultimately about recognizing that and serving for the city of Quincy and the country. So for these above examples and the reasons, we owe them a debt of gratitude as a city and as a nation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Sergeant of Arms,
Yes, sir.
please escort Captain John Noble and the commander to place a memorial wreath at the base of the flagpole to honor all members of the Armed Forces of the United States of America. Following the sellout of over 400 flags for this island, each of which were purchased to honor a particular person when we started our veteran brick program. Since its inception of over 650 bricks with the name, rank, and branch of service for each veteran, as inscribed by Quincy's own Monte Granite Company, has been installed and are now presented in the new patio format, alongside with 3 magnificent flagpoles, all courtesy of Mayor Tom Koch in the city of Quincy. We are grateful to all Quincy veterans, with their friends, family, and guests who have joined us today, including our comrades from the Morisset Post and other posts. Special thanks to our color guard, combined color guard of the Morisset Post, and Quincy's finest, the police and fire department color guard, and also the junior ROTC under command of Master Sergeant John DiLorenzo. We're also grateful for the assistance of the Quincy City Department, who aid our program all year round, the Mayor's Office, the City Council, Police, Fire, Public Works, and Parks Department. Well, we are most grateful to all of you, and thank you for your support. The chaplain will lead us in benediction. Uncover.
Our Heavenly Father, we ask for your benediction to rest on us this day, as you graciously preserved our nation through the years and have led us in wondrous ways. Grant that may be worthy of the high calling as a nation. Make us reverent in the use of freedom, just in the exercise of power, and generous in the protection of weakness. Inspire the men and women who direct our nation, that they may guide it wisely and well. Grant them and us that in all our duties, your help, in all perplexities, your counsel, in all danger, your protection, and in all sorrow, your peace. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Sergeant of Arms,
Yes, sir.
please bring the troops to attention and present arms.
Troops, attention. Present arms.
Order. Before we end this ceremony, I'd like to invite you all back to the Morissette Post for some refreshments. It's at 81 Liberty Street. Sergeant of Arms,
Yes, sir.
dismiss the troops.
Attention. Troops, dismissed. On guard. Right. Six. Forward. March.
Three huzzahs for Quincy's veterans! Hip hip huzzah! Hip hip huzzah! Hip hip huzzah!